So we are discussing the 8th cranial nerve, which has two components, cochlear component and vestibular component, vestibulo-cochlear nerve. So firstly we will discuss the cochlear component. The cochlear component actually starts from the spiral ganglion, whose peripheral processes innervate the organ of corti. So we can say it starts from organ of corti, peripheral process of spiral ganglion, and then spiral ganglion, which is the first order neuron. From spiral ganglion, the central processes, these central processes go to the cochlear nuclei. The cochlear nuclei are at the junction of pons and medulla. These are the second order neurons. So spiral ganglion is first order neuron, cochlear nucleus is second order neuron. From here what happens is the fibers, they cross to the opposite side. They cross and they create a body called as trapezoid body. So trapezoid body is decussation of the auditory pathway. So they go to the opposite side and they ascend up and they relay in the superior olivary nucleus. Superior olivary nucleus forms the third order neuron. Okay. From superior olivary nucleus, now the auditory pathway goes up and now onwards it is called as lateral lemniscus because it is the lateral most among the other lemnisci. Other lemnisci, medial, trigeminal, spinal, they carry pain, temperature, general touch for the face and body. This doesn't carry any of this, it just carries the auditory pathway, which lateral lemniscus, this ends in inferior colliculus in midbrain. So very easy to remember, cochlear nuclei are in pons and medulla junction. Superior olivary is in pons, inferior colliculus is in midbrain. Some may not relay in midbrain and they may go directly to the medial geniculate body. So inferior colliculus is the fourth order neuron. From here, via the inferior brachium, the fibers go to the medial geniculate body. So medial geniculate body is the fifth order neuron. So we have 5 orders of neuron, very rare, no other cranial nerve has this. And from there, the fibers via auditory radiations, they go to area number 41 and 42, which is the primary auditory area. The primary auditory area, area number 41 and 42, surrounding which is secondary auditory area. The secondary auditory area is where whatever we hear is stored. Now, what is there above the inferior colliculus is superior colliculus. From the superior colliculus starts the tectospinal tract. This tectospinal tract goes to the opposite side and descends down, splits into tectobulbar and tectospinal proper. Tectobulbar ends in cranial nerve number 3, 4 and 6 nuclei. That is for turning our eyes towards light. The tectospinal ends on the cervical part of the spinal cord, that is for turning our neck towards the light. That's how, with the help of tectospinal tract, we turn our eyes and neck towards light. Now what about the sound? God is, making best use, optimum use of the resources. So what God does is he just connects inferior colliculus to superior colliculus. So whenever there is sound stimulates superior colliculus and via tectospinal tract it comes down. With tectobulbar we turn our eyes towards the sound. With tectospinal we turn our neck towards the sound. So this covers the cochlear component of the vestibulo-cochlear nerve. Now we will be discussing about the vestibular component. The vestibular component, actually, again there is a vestibular ganglion which is in the internal acoustic meatus, and its peripheral processes, they innervate the macula of the utricle and saccule, which is responsible for static balance, and the cristae of the semicircular canal, which is responsible for kinetic balance. These peripheral processes go to the vestibular ganglion, and the central processes of the vestibular ganglion, they form the vestibular nerve, which again goes to the junction of pons and medulla and ends at the vestibular nuclei. From here, it splits into three. one part goes to archicerebellum, lingula plus flocculonodular lobe, which is responsible for balance. Now this is vestibular component which is responsible for balancing, and therefore it is going to the archicerebellum. Then via the medial longitudinal bundle, it is connected to 3, 4, 6 and also the 9th cranial nerve. Okay, and via the vestibulospinal tract. So one goes to archicerebellum, one goes to 3, 4, 6 and 9th cranial nerve, and one goes to the spinal cord. Cerebellum, 3, 4, 6 and spinal cord. Vestibulospinal tract goes to the spinal cord. So what this whole nerve is doing is that in response to the stimuli coming from the macula and cristae, it is with the help of cerebellum, it is guiding the movement of the eyes and the neck and the trunk muscles, the muscles basically, so that the balancing happens. So this whole coordination is done by the vestibular component. Okay, so again repeating, the vestibular component of the vestibulocochlear nerve starts from the peripheral processes of the vestibular ganglion. It comes from the two parts, the macula of utricle and saccule and crista of semicircular canal. You know, this goes to the superior part, this goes to the inferior part. ऐसा थोड़ा सा है. Going to the vestibular ganglion, from there central processes go to vestibular nuclei. From vestibular nuclei, 3 splits happen. One goes to archicerebellum, one goes to cranial nerve nuclei 3, 4, 6 and 9, and one goes to spinal cord, vestibulospinal tract. Okay, this goes to cerebellum via the inferior cerebellar pedunculum. उसका mnemonic है VOR. Okay, so this is about the vestibular part and this is about the cochlear part. Again I will tell, organ of Corti, which is the first order neuron, the spiral ganglion. From spiral ganglion it goes to the cochlear nuclei, which is second order neuron. From there the crossing takes place and trapezoid body, that is formed. Third order neuron is superior olivary nucleus. Then after that the tract is called as lateral lemniscus, then ends in inferior colliculus, which is fourth order neuron. Then goes to medial geniculate body, fifth order